Hi guys, welcome to this episode of the Happy Knitting Podcast. My name is Julia, I'm coming to you from Germany, and today is Sunday the 28th of January 2018. I'm so glad to be chatting to you guys about yarn and knitting today. I just got up, it is Sunday morning, it's about 9 a.m. I thought it was way later when I woke up, but it wasn't, so I thought I'd take the chance and record this podcast early while Kai is still sleeping, and that way I'll have lots of knitting time and time for other things later on today. If you haven't watched this podcast before, thank you so much for stopping by and checking this out. And if you're coming back, thank you so much. You guys know I really appreciate it. Before I get into the knitting, we have a Ravelry group on Ravelry, which is called the Happy Knitting Podcast Group. And that's where you can find lots of threads in terms of knit-alongs, giveaways. We currently have a pattern giveaway for 5 patterns of Leni Hoy, who is a Finnish designer. That will run for another week, so do check that out. We also have a coupon code thread, in which, for example, I just saw yesterday that there's a coupon code for Lamy bags, which I talked about, I think, 2 episodes ago. There are these ones. So please feel free to check in over there. You can find me on Ravelry as Wupfi, which is WUEPFI. And if you do have questions about some of the finished objects and works in progress I knit, the easiest way to check for things is just to check my project pages, because I'm really trying, not always succeeding, but trying to note down any modifications or yarns or anything in my Ravelry project pages, so you should always find that information there. My voice is going all funny, I'm sorry about that, I think that'll be fine in a second. So, let's talk about some finished objects. The first finished object is theoretically last week's finished object, and that's what I'm wearing today. And that is my faded Roxi Sweater. Last week, when I was podcasting, this was still blocking, but since then it has dried, and I've actually worn it quite a few times this week. So, if you don't know, this is a boxy, which is a fingering weight sweater pattern by Johi Locatelli. And I decided to knit a faded version, so I took 4 skeins of sock yarn, I took 4 skeins of Holst Garn in their soft sock base, and I faded my boxy sweater. I don't know if I'm going to get up because it is really big, but this is what it looks like. You can see it is very wide. I modified this quite a bit. I cast on way less stitches than you're supposed to. Again, check my project page for that, but I modified the body. I basically did the sleeves however I wanted them. I really only followed the instructions for the sort of top, like when you separate for the sleeves and the neckband and all that. But yeah, all in all, I am really happy with this. I think this is my first time knitting a sweater out of a superwash yarn, but I might be wrong about that. But yeah, this is a big sort of like cozy, super long, huggy sweater, which is super comfortable for home, especially since I've been working a lot from home. If I would knit it again, I would make it shorter, because I didn't follow the pattern, of course. I think the pattern is quite short. I made mine quite long because I wanted to use 4 colors and I wanted to use a lot of the top color. So mine has turned into a bit of a sweater dress. Hang on, let me show you. Can you even see? It still keeps going. And now I'm rearranging my office. It is very long, but it is super cozy and I really do enjoy it. So much for I won't get up. So I used about 4 skeins of yarn. I have a couple of little yarn nuggets left over, but I pretty much did use all of the yarn. As you can see, in the end I did decide to fade my sleeves as well, but I only used 3 of the 4 colors for the sleeves. And I made them quite long, so because this is such a boxy shape, you can actually pull them down, or you can put them up, which is what I usually do with sweaters anyways. So I don't know why I always knit full-length sleeves when I always just push them up, but oh well. So that is it for my boxy. I really should take some proper pictures of this as well. My second finished object was one that happened very late last night. I didn't actually think I was going to have a finished object this week, but yesterday I went out with my friend and knit on my socks, and She really liked them. So I kind of went home thinking, well, maybe I could finish them tonight. And I did. So this is a really, really fun pair of socks. The yarn that I used is from Fat Fusion, who is on, I always want to say on Etsy, but she has her own website. I talk about her all the time lately. She's a UK-based indie dyer, and this is in her Komodo Christmas colorway, which I believe is some sort of reference that I'm not getting, but anyways, I just thought it's a really, really fun colorway. And I'm using her High Twist Merino nylon sock base, which is my favorite of her sock bases. And as you can see, I knit a vanilla sock. I tried lots of different patterns, but nothing really worked for this yarn, so I went with a vanilla sock with a 1x1 rib and a garter stitch heel, and that's pretty much it. Very, very basic, but how fun are these colors? I'm super excited to be gifting these because I know that Marian will love them, and yeah, they're done. I use US size 1 2.25mm needles and 64 stitches. So that is it for my finished objects. Very excited about these. Let's move into works in progress. I'll start with my biggest work in progress first, and that is my Sunset Highway sweater. Because yes, I am still on a sweater kick, and I want to knit all the sweaters, so I don't think the sweater kick is going to go away anytime soon. So this is my Sunset Highway sweater, which I'm sure you've heard of before. It's a really, really popular pattern on the knitting community. And I had to jump on that bandwagon as well, because just knitting a fade wasn't enough. So it's currently not attached to any needles, and that's because I have finished the body the day before yesterday, and yesterday I knit a sleeve. So I don't know, I'm having troubles with my setup today, but let me show you the front. This is my current Sunset Highway sweater. The body looks really short, but it isn't that short. I think I'm overcompensating because my boxy was so long. I may be making this a little too short, but I think it'll be nice to have sort of like a light sweater, or like at least a short sweater, considering I have done full-length sleeves as well. In terms of the pattern, I only really followed that for the yoke, and then I've done my own thing since with the sleeves and the body. So that seems to be what I do with all of my sweaters lately. I just modify them so much. It's kind of ridiculous. I didn't do any color work, but what I did do was a really, really, really long rib on the sleeve because I just like the way that looks. So now I just have to do one more sleeve and then this thing will be done. I'm really, really, really excited about this, and I think I'm going to wear this a ton. I'm not sure if you can see, but the yarn that I'm using is actually a tweed yarn. I'm using Lana Grossa Meilenweit Tweed, and it's just a very affordable commercial sock yarn, and there's tweed in all of the colors, which I think is really, really fun. It is kind of scratchy, I won't lie, so I'm hoping that washing will fix this a little bit, and I'm not too sensitive, so I'm just hoping for the best. But yeah, that is my Sunset Highway sweater. That should definitely be done next time I talk to you, which is crazy exciting. Next up, I have a new sock cast on because of course I had to cast on another sock. And I decided to cast on some commercial yarn which I got to test on our holiday a couple of weeks ago. This yarn is one that I don't think I've used before. It's by Schöller & Stahl, who is a German company, I'm pretty sure, and it's their Fortissima sock. So it's just a sort of standard commercial sock yarn. I've heard different things about this brand in terms of their quality and knots and skeins, but so far I have had a really good experience. This is colorway number 8043, and this one didn't have any sort of picture of what it would look like knit up on the ball, which is always really intriguing to me. And so I just decided to knit a vanilla sock, and I think it's kind of fun. It took me a while to get into this patterning because I think it's kind of very different. But now that I'm looking at it, I really do like it. I think it's a really fun sock pattern. It feels very wintry to me, and yeah. So what I've done is, of course, I've knit another vanilla sock. So I've done a 2x2 rib and then a really long leg. And I once again am using Mina's mini heel flap and mini heel flap instructions for a short row heel. I'm still playing around with that and seeing if I prefer that fit to a normal fish lips kiss heel without that adjustment. And now I am pretty much ready to start the toe. So yeah, really excited about these. I think I might actually keep these. I don't keep that many socks knit out of commercial sock yarn for myself just because I have so many socks and these are usually the easiest ones to gift. But I think I want to have these. In terms of the yarn, I thought it was quite interesting. It's definitely sort of like a rough yarn comparable to an opal or even regia, but I think more like opal in terms of the structure. Like it's kind of thick and it's definitely a woolly yarn, but having knit it up, I think it feels really nice. Like I would prefer this by far to a opal sock, which I thought was really interesting. So yeah, I hope I don't get any knots or anything for the second sock, but if it continues like this, I would definitely recommend the sock yarn, and I'm very curious to see how they will wear. So yeah, that is my new sock cast on, and once again doing 64 stitches, US size 1 needle, which is what I always do unless I tell you otherwise. Next up, I have another pair of socks. These socks I showed you last week. They are my Life in the Long Grass socks. Upside down. Life in the Long Grass, who is an indie dyer in Ireland. I almost said an Indish dyer. No. And I have one finished sock. I cast these on last week or the week before on my first day of work. These were my first day of work cast on. And I've been working on them quite a bit. So I finished the first one and I have just started the plain vanilla stockinette part on my second one. So I'm really enjoying how this colorway is knitting up. I don't have any red socks in my sock drawer, I think. I don't really knit with red, so I'm really excited about this. I got this as part of a surprise club where you didn't know what colorways you're gonna get. And this is Life in the Long Grass Fine Sock in the Estate color. So yeah, I'm not really sure what else to tell you about these. Again, did the Mina's heel flap adjustment. And besides that, just a vanilla sock with a garter stitch fish lips kiss heel. So yeah, since I can't think of anything else to say, let's just move on. My last work in progress is in my Lami's bag, which, looky guys, I put an enamel pin on it. I have this pin by Ellen of Fiber and Brimstone. She sent some for the podcast to give away, and she sent me one to keep as well. And it's just been lying around, and now I've put it onto this bag, and I think it's so pretty. And like I said, this bag is from Lami's Project Bags, who I talked about extensively, I think 2 episodes ago. And one of these is also up for grabs for a future giveaway, which I haven't planned yet. But anyways, in here is my Drifter shawl. Drifter is a shawl pattern by Tammy Gore. There's a 2 and a 3 color version, and I decided to knit the 2 color version. The yarns that I'm using are these two. This is TK Garn in their pink exclamation mark colorway. This is Garn Stories in their pink Pegasus colorway. And quite honestly, I think this is one of the most beautiful yarns I've ever seen. Like, look at these colors, aren't they just stunning? I love this little cake so much. And in terms of the actual project, I'm still kind of, I think, about halfway done at least. So it's a triangular shawl or asymmetric shawl. And in the beginning you keep on increasing. Hang on, let me show you the this is front. And then at some point you stop increasing to get sort of like a different triangular asymmetric shaping. So this is kind of hard to show, but this is where I am right now. So I've made quite a bit of progress. And here you can see this is going to be the tip. So now I'm not increasing anymore, which I am so glad about because the rows were getting quite long. But yeah, I really like this. I think it's going to be a really pretty finished object. I am slightly bored with the pattern by now, not because it's a bad pattern at all, but because, I don't know, I kind of need more variations or plain stockinette, but this is sort of in between, and it's kind of, I don't know what's going on with me, but I do really enjoy it when I work on it, and I really love these yarns. Both of these yarns are a singles yarn. Oh no, I have been showing you the wrong side. Look at that. Can you see a difference? Sorry about that, you guys. Both of these yarns are a single space, and I really love how they are working up. I think it's really pretty. I go between phases where I don't knit with singles yarn at all, and then I use it a lot. And right now I use it a lot, and I really like it, so I kind of want to get some more. So yeah, that's that. You're supposed to use 4mm needles, I believe, and I went down to a 3.5 because I liked it at my fingering weight yarn on a 3.5, so I made the executive decision to do that. So yeah, not sure what else to tell you about this. I'm kind of uninspired, this podcast. I'm sorry, you guys. But yeah, hopefully I'll be a lot further next time I show this to you. So that is it for my works in progress, and we will go straight into some acquisitions because there have been some. First of all, I started with a bunch of skeins that are essentially Kai's acquisitions because Kai told me his acquisitions are supposed to be on the podcast. If you don't know, you haven't been watching that long, Kai is my boyfriend, and he has become very knit-worthy over the years. I remember having a huge fight when we just met, or like after a couple of months on our first Christmas, because he didn't want any more hand-knit socks and he didn't really appreciate them. But that has since changed, and he loves yarn and he loves socks and he loves knitting, but he doesn't knit himself any socks. So he actually goes out and buys yarn now, which is kind of insane, but I love it. And so yeah, he's picked up 3 skeins of yarn. The first one I had to go pick up for him yesterday because I can't show them to you right now, but he has one pair of socks which are his favorite socks in the world, and they're the ones that started his love for indie dyed crazy sock yarn. But I knit him that pair a couple of years ago, and those socks are looking terrible right now. They're just holding on very badly and felted, and I keep on trying to throw them out, but he doesn't let me. So yesterday I caved and I said, if I get you the sock yarn, the exact same yarn again, and knit you another pair of the exact same socks, can we throw out the old ones? And he agreed. So I picked him up this skein of yarn. This is the yarn that I used previously. It's Fernerwolle, which is an Austrian yarn in their Sommernachtsreigen base, I guess. And the colorway is number 7. So this is exactly, this is the first time I'm knitting a pair of socks twice, so to speak. But he loves these, and yeah, I'd happily knit them for him, especially because I really do like this yarn. I like knitting with it. I've got a couple of skeins in my stash, and so yeah. The other 2 skeins that Kai picked up was on a train ride when he was bored. So I told him a couple of websites he could look at, and he found Das Mondschaf, who was another German dyer, and he ordered some yarn. So that's Das Mondschaf, who is Sabrina, I believe. And he picked up 2 colorways, which I think are really awesome. This one is definitely my favorite. This is the Heisenberg colorway, which is of course a Breaking Bad reference, and it's so neon. It's really fun. And he also picked up this one, which he's really crazy about. This is the colorway Alien, which is a lot more subdued, but he really wants me to knit these up straight away, essentially. Both of these are in her Pegasus base, which is a 70%, it doesn't make sense. I'm assuming it's 75-25 wool and polyamide. It's a merino sock yarn. It's really soft. I hope he won't wear through these, but they are really pretty. And since Kai was ordering yarn, I got a skein in as well. Even though now that I have it, I'm looking at it and I think it's kind of like manly sock yarn as well, so I might give these to Kai as well, I'm not sure. But I picked up this skein, and this is in the colorway Moria? Moria? I think it's Moria. I think this is a really pretty colorway. It's very different to the colorways that I usually buy, but it would suit Kai as well, so maybe he'll be lucky and get that one as well, I'm not quite sure. So that is Kai's stash, and I will be right back with my stash. So, in terms of what I got, there's a bit of a story behind that, and it's kind of insane. So, you might have heard of the company Holst, which is, I think, a Danish brand of yarn, and they're most famous for their Holst Super Soft, which is a yarn that comes already wound up, and you can buy it in like huge 500-gram cones, and some people love it, some people hate it. And I think the reason why people hate it is because it can be quite rough when you knit with it, and only when you wash it, it becomes really soft. So I had tried that yarn when I first started knitting again about 3 years ago. And I had ordered, I think, 150 grams of yarn and tried to knit a sweater out of it, and very quickly got quite bored of it because I didn't like the way it looked, and I didn't believe that it was going to bloom and become really pretty once you wash it. So I gave it away. And now, 3 years later, I watch Ellie of Skandia's podcast, and she uses this yarn so much, and I just thought to myself, well, it would be the perfect yarn for me. I really want to love it because it is a yarn that is quite affordable. It comes in a million colors. It's quite thin, so you know me, I knit quite fast, so I need thin yarn to kind of keep my yarn spending in check, so to speak. And I do really like color work these days, so if I like this yarn, that would be amazing. So what would a normal person do? Maybe get like 1 or 2 balls, right? Well, look what I did. Ta-da! I got myself a huge amount of Holst Super Soft, and I'm really proud of it. I have no shame. So I haven't unpacked this because I thought it looked so pretty when it came like this, but I'm going to open it up now so you can see what I'm talking about and I can feel it. Sorry, not sorry for the crinkling. And the funny thing is, I looked up where to get this in Germany because it just made sense. And then I found, I think, a really old blog by someone saying, order it from Denmark, it's much cheaper. So I checked, and if you, they have a German site. But if you go onto their Danish site, which has English language, you get this for about half price. So that's kind of insane. And that makes it even more insane that I follow them on Instagram, and they often have sales. So that would be like insanely cheap. So yeah, I know, don't talk about prices, but I don't care. I think I got 4 sweaters quantities and some to spare for like about 50 euros, which is insanely good. Also, I was a bit worried shipping something from Denmark, but it was amazing. The service was really, really fast. I think I got here a week after I ordered it, or even less. So yeah, that's a tip. If you want to get it, maybe check their actual website, because they might be able to ship it to you, and then you can get lots. So here's what it looks like when you buy it. You can buy it in 50-gram balls. This is colorway Sweet Pea. This was actually on sale, and I just thought it was really pretty. It's 100% wool. 50 grams are 287 meters or 314 yards. So it's meters wide. It's almost like a lace weight. It's very, very thin. But I have been told that you can knit this at a fingering weight gauge, and this is what I'm hoping, because I'd really like to use this just like a normal fingering weight yarn, and I know that Ellie does that. So Ellie, I am putting everything into your words and just doing what you say. So yeah, let's just hope it works out. So this is Holst Garn Super Soft Sweet Pea. So you can see this is what the yarn looks like. It looks quite rough, but like I said, there's a lot of spinning oil and stuff in here. It's going to soften up and change quite a bit once I knit with it and once it's washed. So usually when I start patterns and sweaters and so on, I pick the yarn and then I pick a pattern, or the other way around. But what I'm going to do for this is I have no idea what kind of sweaters I'm going to be knitting with all of this yarn. But I'm going to be swatching today. I'm actually going to do a proper swatch and do it on my 3.5 millimeter needles, because that's the needles I want to use for my sweaters. Actually wash my gauge, which I never do, block it, and then go from the swatch to what design I want to do. So I'm not quite sure. I'm modifying sweaters so much these days, I'm thinking it might be easier to just design my own things. But yeah, I really just want to go with the gauge I want to use, and rather than start with a pattern and then use their needles and so on. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but yeah, I am so excited for this. I kept this all wrapped up for the since Friday, since I got here, and I almost wanted to rip it open yesterday, so I decided to podcast, and then now I can just play with all this yarn, and I'm really, really excited. Should I go through the colors? Maybe I should. So I got 4 balls of sweet pea, which is this one. I got 4 balls of indigo. I saw a jumper knitted out of this on Ravelry, and it looked so beautiful, so I had to get a sweater's quantity for this. I got a ton of almond, because I always think you can always use a neutral, especially because I'm planning to have some leftovers from the other ones, so I can do color work, or I could do a completely neutral sweater. Anyways, this is always going to be a good color. And then, whoops, yarn going everywhere. Literally everywhere. Then I bought myself a bit of a fade. So I just thought, and they had all these colors like lined up in their web shop, and these were right next to each other, and they looked really pretty. So I decided, well, I can do some kind of fade or color work, or these just really wanted to come home with me. These are Purple Haze, Amethyst, Thistledown, and Viola. And I really love that this is a commercial yarn, but they put colorway names on it. This is so good. And then, just because they were pretty, I also got a skein each of these 2, because, well, I could do a color work sweater with a little bit of color work with this. So, for example, this would be really pretty, or this, or both of them together. So I just got 1 skein of each. This one is called Maze, and this one is called Geranium. I'm pretty sure this is the exact color that I bought before and gave away, but yeah. So I have a crazy amount of Holst Garn, and now it's spread up all over my table, and I can't wait to dig into this. And Ellie, I completely blame you for this. So yeah, there's that. So now I'm kind of drowning in yarn. Let me just put some aside and make sure it's not in the video. That's fine. So that is my crazy haul, and now I can't focus because I have all this beautiful, colorful yarn right in front of me, and I just want to play with it. Also, my voice is going. Also, Kai woke up and is currently making breakfast, so I should get myself some coffee. So I think I'm pretty much done with the knitting content anyways. In terms of life in general, there's not that much to talk about, you guys. I'm pretty much working and knitting and working and knitting and working and knitting. So I think I'm just going to see you again next week. One last thing. One of the winners of the Challenge Cal 2017 has still not gotten in touch with me. Please, if you participated, please just watch the first 5 minutes of the episode 2 weeks ago. It has prize winners in the title. Please check it out and make sure you're, or check if you're the winner. So with that, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have a wonderful Sunday. I hope you have nice yarn to play with. Enjoy your knitting, and I will see you very, very soon. Happy knitting. Bye.